Hello and welcome back to the Avatar Limited Set Review. In this video, I'll be discussing all of the black cards and how good I think they're going to be in Limited, generally focused around draft. If you haven't been to one of my set reviews before, there are 5 tiers I use to evaluate the cards. Tier 1 is good, Tier 5 is bad. The tiers are loosely based around where I would expect to draft the cards on average. Obviously, it's not a perfect system. It's more about talking about the cards and sort of where they fit into the set as a whole. With that disclaimer out of the way, we will begin with Azusa Always Lies. One in a black for an instant. It's a lesson. Choose one or both. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So we had Skullduggery, which was a reprint in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, I believe. It might have been a different format. I forget. I'm pretty sure it was LCI, but it could have been a different one. And it was really bad. It was truly one of the worst cards in the set. And that set was fast, too. It's not like there wasn't going to be, like, targets for it. So this is a lesson, and that's the only thing saving it from tier 5, really. Obviously, you're getting a counter instead of it being +1/+1 for Skullduggery, but the fact that it's double the cost, I think, is more than enough. I guess also this one has flexibility of like, oh, you don't have to, you know what I mean? Skullduggery, you had to have 2 creatures on board. This does not require you to have 2 creatures on board. You can actually do it with just 1 creature. I don't think that extra added versatility is really all that significant. The thing that's significant is this is being a lesson, and it's a question of is that worth this rate? And I think the answer is no. I'm not in on this card, but I have given it some room to breathe here. Like I haven't put it in tier 5. I don't expect it, but it's like I could see a world where actually no, I can't really see a world where like this because most of I guess that's not true. There are a lot of like 1/1 tokens in white, so like maybe there's a reality where this is playable in that reality, where like that's the thing. It's like this is always picking something off. The -1/-1 effects do vary a lot in terms of how good they are set to set. In Wilds of Eldraine, they were just insane. Like they were just so good. And then in like other sets, they've been medium to bad. So it it's it is always kind of tough to sort of nail the landing with them in terms of how good they're going to be. But I think largely I'm going to be staying away from this. Azula on the Hunt. 3 and a white black for 4/3 with firebending for 2. And when it attacks, you lose 1 life and create a clue token. Yeah, it's just a 4 drop. I mean, it's fine. It's also there's a card that cares about nobles in black, which we'll see later. It is a noble, so that's something to think about. Um, this is it's just not that exciting, really. I mean, it's a 4 drop that dies to lightning strike. That's really bad, right? Like that's just really awful. Red is going to be good in this set, in my opinion. We'll talk about red in a different video, but red's going to be good. Lightning strike actually might be a bit washed though, because it's not a lesson, so something to keep in mind. And I don't know. I mean, it's great, right? Like if it gets to attack, it gets to draw a card and lose 1 life. That's a good attack ability, essentially, because you're getting the firebending to trigger the clue and whatever. Will it get to do that? How often will it get to do that? Eh. It's probably like I think this is a fine 4 drop. Do I think it's great? No. I think it's going to probably be overdrafted and it maybe have a terrible win rate as a result. Beetle-headed merchants, 4 and a black for a 5/4. When this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature artifact. If you do, draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Yeah, 5 mana 5/4, just no text when it enters the battlefield is truly awful, and I don't really believe in this at all. Obviously, if you get to attack, it's like I get to attack, and then I also have to sacrifice a thing to draw a card. It's like, oh, okay, that's not the best. There is a lot of sack fodder in the set, I will say. So it's not as if it's not going to be like it's not as if you couldn't play this in a deck. I just I would be shocked if it's good. Boiling Rock Rioter, 2 and a black for 3/3 with Firebending 1. All tap and untapped ally you control. Exile target card from a graveyard. When this creature attacks, you may cast an ally spell from one of the cards you own, exiled with this creature. So this can tap itself, right? So you can play this on 3, tap itself, exile an ally from your graveyard, and then when this attacks, you can cast an ally spell from one cards you own in exile. So that's something. And there are, again, a lot of the creatures in the set are allies, so it's not as if this is not going to be doable. I actually think I should probably move this up then. Because again, a lot of the creatures are allies. Black is probably the most ally light color though. Of the colors, black is probably the lightest on allies. Maybe blue. I don't know. I don't know the breakdown, but it's there. A lot of creatures are, and it does have firebending one. I should move this up. I think this is too low. Yeah, so I think it's going to be doable. Like this is actually going to cast stuff sometimes, and it's just a 3 mana 3/3 with firebending, which is fine. And you can exile stuff from graveyards, which always matters, especially this is just going to hate on all the decks that are like, I want to have lessons in my graveyard. Well, now you don't get to have any lessons in your graveyard and you lose. So, yeah. Buzzard Wasp Colony, 3 and a blue for 2/2 with flying. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. If you do, draw a card. Whenever another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put its counters on this creature. So you're paying 4 mana for a 2/2 with flying, and then it can sacrifice something to draw a card. I don't think that's good. I just don't think that's ever been good, really. Uh, yes, if you find a way to have something with counters on it, that this gets counters. I don't know. I think this is very bad. So, I guess it is a 2/2 fly. It's only 4 mana. Sacrifice something to draw a card. Is tier 5 like is it too harsh? Is it too harsh on this card? Is this card like sort of okay? I'm certainly not moving it above tier 4. I'll tell you that much. I just never believe in these sacrifice outlet type cards like this one where it's like so underrated and you need to have a permanent in play or else it does nothing. So like this card only really goes in black white, right? It doesn't go in. I guess technically it draws like maybe blue black. Oh no, you know what? Maybe blue black. Okay, you know what? I'll move it to tier 4 then. Maybe blue black. Because it can sacrifice clues for 2 free, like you're getting 2 mana out of the deal with clues. I will respect it a little bit. That is the amount of respect I'm willing to give it. Callous Inspector. Single black for a 1/1 with Menace. When this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to you, create a clue token. I mean, this looks great to me. I mean, as I've mentioned in this, maybe in other videos, one drops might be back. I think, we're back on like the one drop train. We haven't had good one drops in quite a while, and I think I'm gonna be back in this set. Like, there's just a lot of ones that I'm pretty excited about. This is definitely one of them. You're getting, Menace on your 1/1, which is actually like sneaky good. It's one of those sort of like 1 mana 1/1 Menace is actually kind of an underrated stat line in limited. It just kind of like does more than you'd think. And you're just gonna get a clue token off this when it dies, and that's pretty good. It's good in sack decks. It's probably good in any black deck, I think. I mean, you want to have some use for it, right? Like you do want to have some use for it, but there's many things that black cares about with sacrifice, and I think this is just going to be the best enabler, um, by a large margin. Canyon Crawler. 4 black for a 6/6 with Death Touch. When this creature enters, create a food token, and you can swamp cycle it for 2. Pretty typical land cycler, playable. This one makes a food, which is good. It might be the best one. I don't know. You can like fight about it. I don't really care that much about figuring out which of these is the best. But it's fine. It seems it's pretty large. They're making these big these days, except for the white one again, which is always bad. I don't know. Cat Gator. 6 and a black for a 3/2 with lifelink. When it enters, it deals damage equal to the number of swamps you control to any target. So obviously, if you're mono black, this is just the nuts, right? You're just getting a thing that deals like 7 damage to something, and then you gain 7 and all that. But even if this only deals 3 or 4 damage, it's very good. It's very good if it deals 3 or 4 damage. So I think you can play this in most black decks. You obviously want to be closer to the 10-11 swamp range with this thing. But if you're heavier black, like this is going to be a good card for you. Corrupt Court Official, 1 and a black for a 1/1. When this creature enters, target opponent discards a card. So very similar to the other like fodder card that we just had. That was the 1-drop. Is another great piece of fodder. And I do think this, This card waxes and wanes with how good it is in every set, and it's really just dependent on how well you can use it. And I do think there's going to be ways to use it in this set, so I'm kind of a believer in this, which well, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about this. I think this is a good 2-drop. Daily Introduction. 1 and a black for a lesson. Sorcery. Choose one target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose an online permanent from that hand and they discard it, or you can Earthbend for 2. Yeah, this is fine. It's very typical, like, I don't know I forget what the card's called from Theros Beyond Death, but you know what I'm talking about. It's the choose a non-land from their hand and they discard it. And then this one has a buyout to Earthbend for 2, which is not the best buyout of all time, but it's something you can do in the late game. You'd rather be able to do it than not do it. It doesn't really solve the main problem with the card, but it does make it a little bit better, and this is sort of a decent card anyway. And it's a lesson, so I think this will be a good card. Or at least solid card. Day of the Black Sun. X black for sorcery. Each creature with mana value X or less loses all abilities until end of turn. Destroy those creatures. So this is weird, right? You pay 5 and you can destroy their 3-drops. But usually with the Wraths like this, it's just paying so, like, if they have a 4-drop, you're just in bad shape. Like, you're just in real bad shape. Because then you have to pay 6, and then 6 mana Wrath is just not that good. So, yeah. That's kind of how I feel about this. I just feel like 6 mana Wrath, not that good. That's an amount of mana that you're going to have to pay at some frequency. So, not that excited about this. Deadly Precision. Single black for a sorcery is an additional cost to cast the spell, pay 4, or sacrifice an artifact or creature, destroy target creature. So we talked about there being a lot of, we talked about we have the 2 common creatures that are good sack fodder, which means that this type of card is going to be pretty good. Decks that care about it, I think you are going to want this in black decks, because the black really does seem like it is all in on the sacrifice thing, and this is good at doing that. So the issue is it's a sorcery, right? Like, it's a sorcery. It has a buyout. It doesn't exile. So these cards tend to be not the best. Though I do expect that this will be a reasonable use of deck space. It's just, again, you don't want to take this over the fodder, right? You want to take the 1/1s to be able to cast this, and once you have 4 of them total in some combination, you can kind of play this and it'll be okay. But sorcery speed removal is not the best. Epic Downfall. Well, continuing with the sorcery speed removal. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Exile target creature with mana value 3 or greater. So it doesn't really synergize with anything, but you're just getting a reasonable rate on this. You're generally killing something you want to be getting. It is a sorcery, but you are exiling. So I think this is a fine removal spell. Probably going to be maybe a bit overrated, but I think, I mean, you're going to play it. You're just always going to play this, I think. The second copy maybe gets a little bit whack. Fatal Fissure. 1 and a black for an instant. Choose target creature. When that creature dies this turn, you Earthbend 4. So I really am out on this. We've had this is sort of like a worse Fake Your Own Death, which has been a reprint a couple of times. This is just not that in any way. So I don't really have a lot to say about it. Earthbending is not a mechanic I'm the highest on, because it sort of has like weird stacking issues where you can stack the counters on top of the same land, but if you keep doing that, then your Earthbend is worse because you're getting fewer creatures and then you're not sacrificing as well. So it's like it's a weird spot that Earthbend is in, and I'm curious to see how it plays out, but I'm not the most optimistic. The Fire Nation Drill. 2 black for a 6/3 with trample. When it enters, you may tap it. When you do, destroy target creature with power 4 or less, so you're just always going to do that. And then you can pay 1 permanents you control. Your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Crew 2. Yeah, it's a great vehicle. Obviously, vehicles that are removal spells are very good. This one is not only a removal spell, but also a large creature. So it's going to hit your opponents, and that's good for you. Yes, it's tapped. Who cares? I don't care that it's tapped. Fire Nation Engineer. 2 and a black for a 2/3 with raid. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature or vehicle you control. This is just kind of awful. I don't... Obviously, it's like fine. But the fact that it can't put the counter on itself really is like hurting it a lot because you can't like play your 2-drop, attack on turn 3, trade off, and then play this and then have it do something. That's pretty bad. The one thing is, it does play really well with that 1-mana 1/1 with Menace, which I've been sort of harping on. I mean, that card is, that's just got to be the best black common, right? I mean, that or removal spell. It's the most important. Like, it really just does everything. And then this is like, if you have that, it's kind of a combo. You can kind of get in and then keep making it bigger, and then it can get in more. Yeah, it's something to think about. I just think that a 3-mana 2/3 with basically no text on the turn you play it in about half of your games is not realistically good. Also, counter stuff doesn't really do anything. Like, black counter stuff is kind of a weird space to be in. Fire Navy Trebuchet. 2 to black is 0/4 Defender Reach. Whenever you attack, create a 2/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with flying that's named Ballistic Boulder and it's tapped and attacking, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So you get a whole turn to do some sacrificey stuff with your Boulder. Obviously, this is a card that is fun. Is it good? I don't think so. I don't think it is. But it's a fun one. I don't know. They've done versions of this in the past that haven't been great. This one is better, I think, than the majority of those have been. Does that make it good? Not really. But I'd love to try it out. I'll keep it plain. I'd love to try it out. Foggy Swamp Hunters. 3 to black for a 3/4. As long as you draw 2 or more cards this turn, this creature has lifelink and menace. They've printed this many times and it has never been good, so this is like they had the 5-drop with Death Touch that got lifelink if you drew a second card in Brothers War. Now the Brothers War was kind of a slowish format at times. But that was a bigger creature that your opponent couldn't really block. This is like a 3/4. So yeah, it's not good. Foggy Swamp Visions. 1 black for a sorcery. Is additional cost to cast a spell Waterbend X. Exile X. Target creature cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, create a token that's a copy of it. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice those tokens. This is just too weird to make work in limited. It's too hard to do anything with this. They don't even get like haste or anything. So I'm sure someone will do something broken with this in some Magic the Gathering format, but this is not the one where that's going to happen. Heartless Act. 1 in a black, instant. Choose 1. Destroy target creature with no counters on it. Remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Yeah, it's good. Heartless Act, we know. I mean, it's removal. 2 mana removal with some caveats. There are counters on things, so the land creatures are going to be tough to kill, but you can move 3 counters from them. So that's kind of what's going on here. Hog Monkey. 2 and black for a 3/2 at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it gains menace until end of turn. And you can exhaust to put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature for 5 colorless. I'm just like so out on this because you're just playing a 3-mana 3/2. And then eventually it's like, alright, well, eventually I have a 5/4 with menace. It's like, okay, but you have to pay 8 mana for that. I don't think it's like the worst thing ever to be like doing this, but I wouldn't describe myself as like excited about it. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't describe myself as excited about it. Jody, one of many. 1 in a black for 2/2. It's the ability tap, and you pay black and tap it to surveil. 1, you create a token that's a copy of this creature. Then sacrifice an artifact or creature. Activate only as a sorcery. Very strange card. It kind of creates like infinite fodder-y stuff. Like you can make more 2/2s, you can not make more 2/2s. Like you're getting a surveil. Very strange. I don't really understand what's going on here. It seems fine. At the end of the day, it's a sack outlet, so that's cool. Yeah. June Bounty Hunter. 1 and a black for 2/2. It can't be blocked as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. You can sacrifice another creature. You can pay 1 colorless to sacrifice another creature, create a clue token. Activate only during your turn. But you can't activate it at instant speed during your turn. Just something to note. Yeah, this seems like a good 2-drop to me. Like, you're going to be getting in for 2 pretty much every other turn on average. And it's also a sack outlet. Just kind of goes in every black deck. It plays well with the commons, so I see no reason to not believe in this card. Ko the Face Stealer. 4 black black for 6/6. When it enters, exile up to 1 other target creature. Whenever another non-token creature dies, you may exile it. You can pay 1 life to choose a creature card exiled with Ko. Ko has all activated and triggered abilities of the last chosen card. Yeah, I mean, this is just, like, really what this mostly is 6 mana, 6/6, exile a thing. That's a great card. Sometimes it does other stuff, so cool. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about it. Lo and Lee, Twin Tutors. 4 and a black for 2/2. When it enters, search your library for a lesson or noble card. Reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. Noble creatures you control and lesson spells you control have lifelink. I think this is pretty decent. Obviously, it requires some building around, and the body's very small. But there are sack outlet things, and obviously, like, whatever. But, like, lessons are good, I think. And so you're just going to be playing them in your deck, and then, like, nobles are decent. Again, the size of the creature is small. There's no denying that. But if you have really good either of them, that's why it's tier 3 and not tier 2, is just because it is really small, and that scares me a little bit. Mai or May, Scornful Striker. One in a black for 2/2 with first strike. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, they lose 2 life. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not really a whole lot to think about with this one. It's a good 2-drop. It's not, like, broken or anything, but it's good. Hurts you too. Merchant of Many Hats. 1 in a black for 2/2. You can pay 2 and a black to return it from your graveyard to your hand. These are just never that good. They're whatever. They just aren't that good, especially the ones that return to your hand instead of the battlefield. Just so much worse. To pay 5 total mana to recur it. That's too expensive. There will be people that will play this card. They will. It's largely not necessary for them to do that, but people will try. People love these things. Northern Air Temple, single black for a shrine. When it enters, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. Whenever another shrine you control enters, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is kind of like the shrine that you play to trigger all your other shrines. Like, you just keep cycling through these. Like, if the shrine deck is a thing, which I'm very skeptical of, what you really want is one of your more expensive shrines to be in play. And then you play this and you keep, like, re-triggering it. Like, for the shrines deck to work, you need to have, like, 5 shrines. I would say that, like, the red one, the blue one, and this one is kind of a package that you could work with, right? The red one makes guys, the blue one draws cards, and this one just kind of triggers and also, like keeps you alive. I do think this is probably a part of. I do think you'll play this if you're playing the Shrine deck. I just the shrines. A lot needs to go right, but maybe perhaps they'll be there. I'm certainly gonna try it at some point, but I'm not starting high on the shrines. Obsessive Pursuit. 1 and a black for an enchantment. When this enchantment enters and at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a clue token. Whenever you attack, put X +1/+1 counters on target attacking creature, where X is the number of permanents you sacrifice this turn. If X is 3 or greater, that creature gains a lifelink until end of turn. So this is a lot like Phyrexian Arena. It's going to be hard to give lifelink to something, to be clear, but you're getting +1/+1 counters. So, like, it's not as if, and, like, there are just creatures with lifelink in the set. There's not a ton of them, but they exist, and you can find them. So it's not as if, like, you're getting nothing out of it. I'm curious about this card. Phyrexian Arena has been bad for a long time. This, I think, is considerably better than Phyrexian Arena. It's 1 mana cheaper. It's not double pipped. but you know obviously not drawing the cards immediately. But you're getting a permanent in play, which sometimes is even better than drawing a card. So I think this is good. We will see. It is possible that it's just awful and it still isn't worth it, even though it is sort of reconfigured a bit. Yeah. Ozai's Cruelty. 2 and a black for a sorcery that is a lesson. Deals 2 damage to target player. That player discards 2 cards. These are pretty medium. I mean, it is a lesson, so it's probably playable, but Mind Rot is not really it, I will say. Phoenix Fleet Airship. 2 black for a 4/4 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, if you sacrifice a permanent this turn, create a token that's a copy of this vehicle. As long as you control 8 or more permanents in Phoenix Fleet Airship, this vehicle is an artifact creature. I mean, this is just broken, right? Like, Dreadfast Demon, Dreadfeast Demon, you know, all these things that this is comparable to. It's simply you just sacrifice one thing, and then you have 2 4/4s with flying and crew 1, and then your opponent loses the game. So yeah, I mean, it's just completely broken. Even if it like just didn't have the ability to make more of itself, it's still a 4-mana 4/4 flying crew 1 vehicle, which isn't that bad. Like, that's fine by itself, and then you get 2 of them, and then whatever. Like, we're just off to the races here. Pirate Peddlers. 2 and a black for a 2/2 with Death Touch. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. No, say no to this. It's so bad. Like, obviously it's uncapped scaling, whatever. But the problem is you really need, like, your deck just doesn't have space for this. In these sacrifice decks, you need payoff, you need things to sacrifice, and you need things that sacrifice them. Things that do neither of those are pretty bad, and this is something that neither sacrifices something nor is something that is good to sacrifice. So it is generally not good. This is just not the type of payoff you actually want. Raven Eagle. 2 and a black for 2/3 with flying. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. If a creature is exiled this way, create a clue token. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Yeah, this is just fantastic, obviously, right? You're getting, you know, if there's a creature in a graveyard when this enters, you get a clue token, and then you just start draining your opponent and attacking, and it's just great. Just another great rare. One of the things about this set, a lot of good rares. A lot of good rares in this set, I will say. The Rise of Sozin, or Soizon, I don't know. I'm gonna say Sozin. 4 black for a saga. Chapter 1, destroy all creatures. Chapter 2, choose a card name. Search your opponent's graveyard, hand, and library have up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles. Notably, they don't get them back if you get them from their hand, so it's kind of beast, even though, again, it's a 6-drop, so who cares? And then you flip it into a 5/5 with Menace and Firebending 3, and some other stuff that doesn't matter, because it's like, in terms of rating the card, does combat damage player, you may pay X when you do, put any number of target creature cards dominating X or less, and that player's graveyard under that you control. You win the game, whatever, who cares? Like, if you cast the spell, you probably win the game if they can't kill it, so... Yep, that's what's going on here. Ruminous Waterbending. 1 black for a sorcery that is a lesson. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may waterbend 4. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Spell's additional cost was paid. Whenever a creature dies this turn, you gain 1 life, which is not something that's going to be happening. So yeah, this is just bad. This effect is too niche and situational to be good. I mean, there are go wide decks in this format. Red-white, of course, is going wide. Green-white, of course, is going wide. But it's just not consistent enough to be playing. It would be decent. It would be a decent lesson if we actually had Learn. If we had Learn in this set, it would be pretty good. But we don't have Learn, so we continue. Sold Out. 3 and a black for an instant. Exile target creature. If it was dealt damage this turn, to create a clue token. So 4 mana exile a creature is pretty good just by itself, and then I think the fact that sometimes you can cash one of your small creatures into a clue token is actually pretty good upside. And sometimes you just like attack and do a double block, and you know your creature can deal enough damage to hit the second thing, and you kill it. Kind of a little bit best case scenario-y, but yeah, 4 mana exile something is just good anyway. Swamp Snare Trap. 2 and a black for an aura. It costs 1 less to cast if it targets a creature with flying. Enchanted creature gets a -5/-3. So 3 mana -3/-3 is kind of whatever. Doesn't have flash, so it's basically a sorcery. There are a lot of flyers that are relevant in the set though, so it's it targets those flyers are usually small, so you're getting a 2 mana deal 3 essentially. And sometimes you can just cast this on a big creature and turn it into like a 1/1, and like that's it's not good, especially sacrifice stuff and like there's bounce and whatever like air. It's not this is actually no, I lied. You actually can't do that. It's actually illegal to do that because against white they have airbend, against blue they have waterbend, and against black they have sacrifice stuff. So casting this on a creature to make it smaller is actually illegal and you should not do it. Red, maybe you can do it against red creatures. I don't know. They suck. So maybe that's fine. Like green and red creatures, you can play this on green creatures and your opponent's like, yeah, okay, suppose. Tundra Tank. 2 and a black for a 4/4 with firebending 1. It's a vehicle. When this vehicle enters, target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. And you can crew it for 1. Yeah, I mean, this is just a fine vehicle, right? You're getting a 3 mana 4/4 vehicle, which is good, and it has firebending, and it can, like, your little, like, sack fodder can crew it in black because it's got crew 1. So I think it's going to be decent. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's fine. I think it's a fine vehicle. Wolf Bat. 2 and a black for a 2/2 with flying. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, you may pay black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Yeah, this looks nice. I mean, there are some ways to mill stuff. Not like maybe as many as you'd like, but there are some ways, and you're just getting value. Like you play it, it dies, you get it back. It's a sack thing. You can sack it to stuff. It's a flyer. It can block. So yeah, just seems like a fine card to me. Zuko's Conviction. 1 single black for an instant with kicker for 4. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand if this spell is kicked. Instead, put that card onto the battlefield tapped. So it's an instant speed reanimate that puts something onto play. Ow, tapped. That just hurt myself for no reason. That's good. And you can also just put something back to your hand. These are not generally the best effects. 5 mana reanimate something tapped at instant speed is not usually very good. And 1 mana bring something back is not very good. If this was a lesson, I'd be kind of interested, but it's not a lesson, so kind of out. Kind of out on this card. Oh. So that's it. That's it. You accidentally saw the red part of the next. Ignore that. You saw nothing. You saw nothing at the end of this video. This is the end of the video, and there was nothing that happened between the last 30 seconds. I thought there was one more card. There's not. That's it. So black, all about sacrificing. Is it good? We'll see. Muted optimism. Two really good sack fodder commons generally means that the deck's gonna work at least. So that's something. So see you in the next one.